Boarding is complete. We're going to now finish up the flight plan, and we need the weight. So it's 129.8. One, 2, 9.8 slash, and let's go back and get our center of gravity is 29.1. So 9.1. All right, and then get our block fuel. We can get that from this flight plan too. The block fuel is 122, so it's 12.2. We have 159 passengers. That's pretty good. That's generally I get anywhere between 153, 154. Okay, so 12.2. Well, it's 122 because I'm using pounds and not kilograms, so it's 122.0. All right, let's do our performance. We need the V1, VR, and V2. And so we'll go to the calculator for that. All right, let's go to departure performance. And it's runway 15. It is wet. I'm assuming there's snow on it. So let's sync that up. And then we'll get the current weather and then calculate that. And that should give us our V1, VR, and V2. 125, 140, and 140. So I'm going to talk about this flight in a minute. Right now, things are happening pretty fast. As soon as I get a chance to speak without interruption, I'll let you know what's going on here. So 125, 140, 140. Okay, and then we need our flaps and our temperature. What was the temperature? 66, I think. Let's put it in there and we'll check it. And then we need our flaps. Flaps are 1DN01. And the temperature was 66, the flex temperature. So 1DN, it's 0, or it is 0, not O. So 0 and then 0.1. And there's our flaps. All right, we're getting ready to go here. Something happened during this flight. For one, you noticed that you didn't see me loading. Let's turn the APU on. We got to wait 3 seconds and then hit the start. You didn't see me loading or any of that. We came in halfway through the flight plan, and we're almost ready to take off. We just need to start engines. Something went wrong with the recording, and definitely something went wrong with the sound. I have absolutely my voice, not the sound of the game, but my voice is not here. Something went wrong. And then at the end of the flight, I lost some of the video. So you're going to see a big cut where I'm above the clouds, and then all of a sudden I'm down closer to the ground. Something happened. This video is messed up somehow. So what I'm doing is I'm narrating. Okay, so right there, we turned the fuel pumps on. And I'm going to turn the lights on. We need to turn the beacon on, the wing lights, and we'll need to put on the runway lights and both of the landing lights, and of course the takeoff lights. Now that last switch is either taxi or takeoff, and I just set it to takeoff. Okay, we can turn the bleed on because the generator in the back of the plane is working properly, and then we can turn the external power off. And it's easier to do with this plane. We just need to come in here to the ground services and turn it off, take it away. And that takes the generator and everything away. So we are no longer hooked to the generator. We're operating on that little engine and tail of the plane. All right. So things are happening a little fast right here. That's why I'm kind of trying to keep up with the narration. There are several things that go wrong in this flight, and hindsight is 2020. So I learned some things in this flight. Every flight I make, I learn something. Some mistake I make, or something that I didn't know. And so here I'm just setting up the autopilot information, the altitude, that kind of stuff. Initial altitude is 10,000 feet. We're gonna be flying at 18,000 if we make it that high. So right here, I'm just checking to make sure everything is off that's supposed to be off before I start the engines. So no flaps. The speed brakes are unarmed. I'll lock the cockpit door so the flight attendants can't get to me. And we're going to start this engine up. So if you see the number that's quickly moving, that has to be 24 before I can start the second engine. That gives the first engine a good start. There you go. Now I can start the second engine. Okay, so now we'll wait for that one to get to 24. Now, as these engines get to full power, at a certain point, they're generating enough power, you'll hear a loud click for each engine. And a lot of times I'm talking through it so you don't hear it. But hang on. There. You hear that click? What that means is that engine is generating enough power that it can take over the electrical and the hydraulics. Then the second one will click when it's ready. And it's available. We may have missed a second click. I didn't hear it, but again, I was probably talking. But what that means is the engines are both putting off enough power that they're powering the whole plane, and I don't need that little generator in the back of the tail of the plane, the APU. I'm just double checking some things here. There is a message that comes in that gives us our final weights and balances, and that's what this is, this load sheet. I normally don't use this because I've already got the information. I'm just double checking the flight plan now that I'd already put in. If you notice, the plane is heading straight out to the runway, so I don't need to push back. All right, so now again, we don't need the APU, so I can turn all of that off because the plane is on its own power from the two engines. Going to turn the chrono on, turn the other one on. Now you're supposed to do that as you start moving to taxi out, and that'll give us a total time for the flight, the actual flight. Okay, so I make several mistakes here, and as I said, every trip I make, I learn something. And here, I'll explain what's going on as it happens, because during the flight, I couldn't figure out what was wrong. Eventually I did, and I fixed it. So you're gonna see that. I'm gonna explain what the mistake was. And then you'll see finally where I finally catch on and figure it out. I don't actually figure it out till we're halfway through the flight. Now, what was wrong was not life-threatening. It wasn't, anything terrible. It's just something you need to be aware of and know, the procedures. When to do this, when you're supposed to do that. Okay, so at this point there is ice and snow on the runways and the byways, but it's not affecting me. It's not slick. Now right here, it looks like I slid. I didn't. when you're steering the plane with the rudders, you can oversteer, and then you'll go off the other way, and then you have to correct it. So when you're flying the plane or driving the plane with the rudders, just be gentle. Just make gentle turns and things like that. So now see, there was a problem right there, and you see that now I've jumped to the runway. This whole flight, it's very short. It was a fun flight, but I made several dinky doos, and like I said, I lost the sound. I lost part of the video somehow. I don't know what the hell was going on. And it's too bad too, because it was a really good flight. I enjoyed it a lot. It was one of my first flights in bad weather. I think it was my first flight with snow and ice. Look at the clouds. I mean, obviously I'm going to be taking off into stormy weather. And here's another thing that I did that it was a little bit of a mistake. Normally, I have all this set up before I actually drive onto the runway, and I didn't this time. So I've got stuff I have to do. So I put the flaps down, turn the weather radar on, turn the wind shear on, turn the ATAS on. Normally, I would do that before I ever get here. I'll stop before I even go onto the runway. I'm just double checking up here to make sure that anything that I want on or off is on or off. Double checking the lights. I think it's a little cold, so I'm thinking about putting some anti-ice on the wings and also on the windows, some heat in the windows so they don't, freeze up. And just double checking on things before takeoff. Again, I normally would do this before I actually come out onto the runway. Here, I'm deciding whether to put it in climb or flex, and I decide to go to flex. But you're going to see a problem. It didn't lock in, so I pushed it too far, and the plane doesn't like that. And so here we go. We're going to do a quick takeoff here. When you're on weathered runways like this, try to keep it as straight as you can and just let the engines push you forward. Okay, we're looking at 140 and we've reached it. So in a second we'll pull back. Retard. As soon as he said retard, I pulled back. Get a nice climb here. And this is where the trouble begins. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the landing gear up. There it goes. And we've got warning lights. Now, if you look, see where the round blue thing is? It tells me what my wing, how I'm lined up. Okay, I bring it back into climb, but I don't think it locked in. Pretty cool. Getting into some bad weather here. Okay, now if you look, I'm off course. See the little plane that's on my second screen from the left? I'm not on course, and I'm not in autopilot. It won't go into autopilot. Now the first screen that has the blue circle in the middle, look up in the left-hand corner. You'll see that it says lever climb. The lever is my throttle lever. It's telling me that it's not locked into climb. I don't see it. And at this point, I can't remember if I knew about that problem. Because like I said, I learned something in every flight that something goes wrong. I go and look that up and find out what I did wrong or right. So I now I know exactly what to do, but then I didn't, and I don't see it. So if you look at that first screen again where the blue lights are, you'll see my speed just to the left where it says I'm just over 140. See the little red or the little yellow marks in the red line? That's stall. That means I'm going slow enough that I could go into a stall. And so I'm going to try to take it from flex to climb, if I remember right, or maybe not. Maybe I'm down here trying to figure out what the hell I did wrong. Okay, so we're up above the weather now. Anyway, you notice I keep going over to the autopilot because I can't figure out why it's not coming on. Well, it's not coming on because of that lever clear and the fact that I'm going too slow and it thinks I'm stalling, which I probably am. Now I'm going to manually fly this back to the flight plan route while I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on. And in a minute, I'm going to realize that I need speed. And so you'll see me drop the nose down. But right now I'm trying to fly back, so I'm working on one thing at a time. So I noticed that I keep dropping speed about in here somewhere, and I drop the nose. The way to pick up speed is drop your nose. But I'm still trying to get that autopilot on, and again, I don't know why it won't come on. And now I know it's because of that throttle. So anyway, we'll just go with this. Again, this is not life-threatening. It just means that I have to manually fly the plane for a little bit until I get it figured out. And, so there you go. Now, it's about this time that I think I realized that my speed needs to go up, and you see me drop the nose. And the speed is going up. Now, if I can get that speed high enough, the autopilot will come on. There it goes. Now, the thing of it is, I haven't fixed the problem because it's the throttle, which means that the autopilot might get kicked off again. So, but at this point, I think everything's going well because the autopilot is on, and I'm trying to get back onto the flight plan. And so I decide that maybe I'll kick up the altitude to the 18,000 that I'm supposed to be cruising at, because I think I've got everything running again. And then notice I keep going back to that button. It's because by the 18,000 there should be a yellow mark, a little yellow round mark. That means that I am in auto, but I'm not in auto because of the throttle. So see, notice the speed. Now I'm going too fast. Now I'm going way faster than I should be going. So, and again, at this point, I don't know what the hell's wrong. I know something is, but notice the autopilot kicked off again because of the speed. Either too slow or too fast. So now I'm going too fast and I just don't realize what's going on. Crazy stuff, man. And in addition to all this, I'm trying to fly the plane while I'm trying to figure out why everything's going to hell. I don't know what the hell I'm trying to do here. I think that I'm on the other one and there I figured out I was on the wrong one. So when I found out that this flight, that the sound hadn't worked, my voice isn't on it, the recording, I thought I had the recorder going and I didn't. When I found that out, I was going to just throw this film away. And so I watched it, to find out what the heck, why the sound wouldn't work. I was watching it, and I thought, you know what? This will be a good training video, because the flight was actually pretty good. Okay, so again, I finally got the autopilot to come on because I slowed the speed down. But again, I still haven't fixed the problem, because if you see that blinking white light in the upper left of the first panel, you'll see that it's still blinking, that the climb lever's not locked in. Okay, so now I'm going back down and trying to lock that in. And I did. And notice the white light is gone. So a bulb goes off in my head, and I realize what the problem was all along. And I just figured it out. So from this point, the airplane is taken over, and everything's on auto. We're 19 minutes into the flight, and I finally figured it out. Oh, by the way, while all this was going on, and I was jumping back and forth from knob to knob, and I'm also trying to fly the plane so to make sure it stays on the flight plan. In the meantime, I've got one of my hands over on a computer that's next to me, typing in that error message that I finally saw, and I found out what the hell I'm supposed to do. And that's when I was able to fix it. So it's crazy stuff. A lot of stuff was going on in this, which is one of the reasons why I decided I was going to delete it, because I thought, oh, too many things went wrong. This is terrible. I was embarrassed for one thing. I was upset. But notice, if you look at our flight plan, the second screen from the left, and see our little yellow airplane, you'll see we're almost coming into Canada. So it took me half the flight to figure the problem out. So if you look at the flight plan, again, the second screen from the left that has the little airplane on it and the green line, you'll notice that I'm getting to a point where I'm going to head to the right a little bit, and then I have to do a complete 180 to come back to the airport. At the end of that little green line, there's two white lines. That's the airport. That represents the runways, that two, so that's the airport. And as you can see, the flight plan has me to turn around and to be completely lined up with the runway when I come down. The problem is that right now, if you look at the altitude, I'm at 18,000 feet. I don't have a lot of time to get down because I'm supposed to be down to 2,000 by the time I get close to the airport. And the plane won't come down that fast. So I haven't realized that yet because, again, all the trouble that I had took up most of the flight, and it hasn't sunken into me yet that I'm almost to the end of the flight, and I'm still at 18,000 feet. It didn't even enter my mind. And I think I've realized that when I get through this corner here. I think I realize, oh, I'm turning, and I look at the flight plan and think, oh my God, I'm in Canada. I'm here, and I'm at 18,000 feet. So you notice I just ran over and kicked it down to 8,000 feet because I haven't figured out yet how far. Now I'm looking. Where am I supposed to be? And I realized that I'm supposed to be a lot lower. So I immediately run over there and kick it down to 4,000 feet, which is fine at this point because I'm not close to the airport yet. I've still got a ways to go, but I need to get down. And I need to get down fast. So in a second here, there's a way you can do that. Right now, it's coming down at a very slow rate of speed. If it's coming down, yeah, it is. Very slowly it's coming down. Where I change the altitude to the right of that is vertical speed. Now I can set my vertical speed, like normally if I'd come down maybe 2,000 feet a second or whatever. I'm going to try to kick it up to 35, 40. I can't remember what. But I'm going to try to kick it up or down, as the case may be. So right here, I'm trying to figure out where I'm supposed to be. And I realize I'm supposed to be down to 2,000 feet. So I'm going to try to bring it down faster. And so I'm going to go over to the vertical speed and kick that thing down. Maybe. Again, right now I'm still confused. Which is another reason why I didn't delete this. I decided to use it as a training exercise because all these things are going through my head, plus many more, but you're not hearing them because I'm not talking these things out loud. I'm just trying to figure everything out. So in this way, you get to see, what my thought process was, or maybe what I wasn't thinking. Anyway, because if you notice, I haven't figured out that I'm not coming down fast enough yet. And I think this is a flight that I made several weeks ago. Here's where I figure out I've got to come down, and I got to come down a lot faster. So I set the vertical speed, and I didn't. Yeah. Okay. Look at the first gauge with the white and orange. On the clear to the right, you'll see a gray bar, and you'll see a green line. That green line's telling you that I'm coming down fast because I set that. So at one point, I'm trying to get down. I look at the flight plan, and I see I'm coming down. I'm coming to the last turn to come into the airport, and I freak out because I'm still coming down, but I'm scared that I'm not going to come down fast enough to make the landing, and I stopped the recording at that point. Now, look, I started it back up again because I was able to get down a little bit faster than I thought. See the rain on the windscreen? I think in a minute it's going to turn to snow. Okay, so we're lined up. Autopilot's on. The ILS is on. I've hit the approach button. And I put the landing gear down because I'm going too fast. So I put the landing gear down. In a minute, I'll put a flap or two down to try to slow it down. Landing gear just locked in. And we're still lined up. Everything's looking good. Everything's looking fine. Okay, so what happened there with that noise is I did put a flap down, but my speed was too fast, and it didn't like it. It didn't like when I put the flap down because I'm actually was going too fast to do that. So it gave me a little bit of a scream until the speed came down. So I'm still lined up with the runway, which I can't see yet, but I'm a little bit high, and so I'm trying to slowly. You see the nose keep coming up and going down. That's me I'm trying to come down a little bit without turning the autopilot off on myself. I mean, I will turn the autopilot on, but not yet because I can't see the runway. If I turn the autopilot on, I may drift off the runway. Right now, the autopilot is keeping me lined up with it. And you can see the snow and rain. At this point, I'm hoping that the airplane's taking care of everything because, I can't see the runway. Now, in real life, if this was the case, you would probably call the landing off. If you can't see the runway, you can't land, then they don't, they would call you off. On the other hand, I'm still 1,600 feet off the ground, so, and now you can see I'm starting to be able to see through that cloud just a tiny little bit. Okay, we're down 1,400 feet. We got 4 miles to the airport. 4 miles. 3.9, 3.8. So we're coming in fast.
1,000.
I've got the speed down. We're at good enough speed, 140. And that's about where I'm supposed to be at 140. Now I can see the ground. So we're okay. We're going to be fine. I can see the runway lights. I don't know what the hell I was doing there. Just checking over, make sure the flaps were up, or down, I'm sorry. And I can't remember if I hit a second flap here. I might have, I might not have, because I'm actually doing pretty good on speed. The airplane is still flying. Okay? So, but I don't have it set for auto landing. It's not set up for auto landing. So at some point, I have to kick that autopilot off and take control. But because of everything that's going on here with weather and everything else, I'm letting it go until the last minute so that I make sure that I'm lined up with this runway. So in just a second, you'll see me kick the... I've got my finger over there. I kicked it off. Okay, so I'm actually flying the plane now. And I haven't even thought about how slick the runway is.
100.
But I'm just trying to keep it lined up.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard.
All right. Now, it looked like I hit pretty hard, but I really didn't. The reason it looked like that is because the back tires hit first and then the nose came down. So in actuality, that was a good landing. Yeah, it looked like like I hit pretty hard. I really didn't. And I can't really tell. It might be a little slick out there. I really couldn't tell. At this point, I'm just relieved that I was able to land it, properly. I have no idea what I'm doing here. I must be trying to turn the speed brakes off. Alrighty, at this point we're going to look for a parking spot, and I'm still concerned about that. I don't know why. So I decide here. Oh, I just see an X on that. I don't think I'm supposed to be pulling in here. I didn't see that before. See that yellow X? I don't think I'm supposed to be here. But we're here, and there's no police out here getting me, so. All right, now I'm just trying to find some place to park. So I'm kind of looking around. I don't know what my fascination with the speed brakes was there. I just can't remember what I was thinking. Like I said, it was a couple weeks ago. I've made many flights since then. Yeah, at this point, I'm trying to figure out, am I on a runway or am I on a taxiway? With the snow, I can't tell. And so I think I decided that, well, I'll just keep going straight and follow those little green lights. I've never been to Ottawa before, so I'm not familiar with this airport at all. And at this point, I think I decided, look, there's an open gate, and I'm trying to determine if it's too small for me. And then I think at the last minute, I decided I didn't care. I want to park. It's funny doing these afterwards. It's because I can't really entirely remember everything. Oh, I remember this one. There's somebody trying to direct me in. See that little gal? And I keep worried I'm going to just accidentally hit the speed and run over her. Okay, and I decide I'll come in here and look. Then I decide, wait a minute, this is a bad angle. And I'm going to go back outside so I can actually see her. Now, she's supposed to be taking those things. As I get closer, she brings them together, which she hasn't done yet. And I keep thinking, aren't you want me to stop here? What's going on? So I'm going to come out and look from the outside and realize I've still got a little ways to go. Perspective, it's all perspective, right? And so I'll come a little bit closer. And she keeps wanting me to come forward. She's not. Look, she's telling me, come on, come on. And I keep thinking, no, I'm too close. And she keeps, come on, come on. And pretty soon I decide, okay, enough's enough. And I just stop. I'm going to hit her. So I'm going to stop. And here's what I think. I think that she's set up for a smaller plane and that I'm really not supposed to be in that spot, but I don't care. I'm down. I'm happy. And I just want to get the passengers off. So, so I'm going to grab myself some power, put the chocks down, and start shutting the engines down. I don't want to... I want to get the engine shut down before I deboard. Okay, so turn off the heaters and turn on the external power. And now I can turn a few things off and close the engines down. Now, during this time, I'm still shook up because of this flight. Not too bad, but a little bit, because I know I made mistakes. Put that in standby, put that in standby. Okay, I'm just checking flaps and things like that. I need to turn the weather radar off, and I didn't. Okay, so we've arrived. It's the airplane that did that. That's why I love this plane. It's pretty smart. It knows that I'm safely down, the engines are off, and it can deboard. So it called for that runway to come and open the door. I didn't do it. It did it, which is kind of cool in a way. I don't know what I'm doing here. If you notice, the cargo doors opened up too. That's a green, two green lights clear to the right. Cargo doors are open, so it's ready to unload the suitcases. And I'm going to call for a deboard here. It's a different
The boarding
program.
requested.
This is a different program. So this one's for more realism, because it actually will show the people leaving, although we can't see them because they're in that runway. But we can see them coming to get the luggage and stuff. And they're going to run over each other to get there. This is why I'm thinking this might be for a smaller plane, because those rigs wouldn't be that close to the plane. So the first cart is lined up with its on the left there to pick up its cargo. They did put the other runway up, which we're probably not going to use. But I'm going to open the door anyway. Okay, so this guy's figured out that he's not in a good spot. And he still isn't.
Passengers deboarding starting.
Okay, so they told me the passengers are deboarding. Montreal. Here comes our cargo. Containers they are. And of course the little cart isn't lined up at all. I don't know. I don't remember this. I think I was too busy worrying about other things. And you notice that we've only got 43 people left on board. That's the plane's calculations, not the program that I ran up above.
Bye, thank you for a wonderful flight.
I'm just looking stuff over here. I still haven't realized I didn't turn the weather. There we go. I finally realized I didn't turn the weather off or the wind shear. That's not a big deal, actually, the weather and the wind shear. Where it's a big deal is before you start the engines. If you've got everything in the plane turned on when those engines get started, there's a big surge power draw, and it's not necessarily a good thing. And so when you're starting the engines, you want to make sure that the radar and stuff is all turned off, the ACAS is off, that most everything is off that you don't need until you're out on the flight. That way when the engines come on, you don't get this great big surge of draw of power. Look at that cart. All three trailers are piled up on each other on that cart to the right, and it's still loading them. Silliness. Gotta love it. Is it real life? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. It's trying to load them off, and it's pushing it off the side of the cart. Look at that. Weird. That's just weird. Uh-oh. The cargo doors got closed on me. Well, we're going to see it through whether it's right or wrong. I guess when I had the camera set for the outside here, I didn't realize cargo doors were were closed. And again, I was probably in shock. I'm just cooling my heels at this point. Hell, I probably got up and went to change underwear or something. Listen to that cold wind blowing. All right, these guys are done. Cargo's heading into the airport. And we're getting close to the end here, so I'm going to say goodbye. Hope you had fun, and I'm glad I didn't destroy this. I almost did.